C'est le dia, j'arrive de mille de hut, les requins de San Jose ont balai, habitants de Montréal 4-1, Parleon à Tealtown après la tombée de la nuit. It's getting better, guys. I mean, can we give me credit for that? It's getting better, right? Right? Oh, well. Nonetheless, it is January 2nd, 2018. The Sharks take down the Montreal Canadiens 4-1. We hope you had a wonderful holiday and a wonderful new year, and we welcome you to Teal Town After Dark. This is your live and interactive post-game show all about your San Jose Sharks. To be part of the show, you can do it a number of ways. You can join us in the chat in the YouTube page or on the app, or you can use the hashtag TealTownUSA. You can also follow us on Twitter, Facebook, SoundCloud, Instagram, and YouTube. We also like to welcome those of you who are kind of watching back and forth between USA and Russia in the World Junior Tournament in the quarterfinals. It's currently 3-2 USA, with Kiefer Bellows scoring 2 goals in this game so far. We will get to that in just a jiffy. But first, let's say hello to my crew at hand. It is, and appropriately enough, Al Martinet.
Hey-o. Welcome to 2018, I guess. First game of 2018. Thankfully, much better than Dallas.
Absolutely. And also joining us, my fellow Notch Bro. Let me see if I can do it in a nice, proper way. Gentry Alexander.
Oh, God. I have no retort for that other than, stick to, English, please, for the love of God. Yeah, great game. Loved it. Wish they would have not scored on that 5-on-3, but whatever. Let's talk some hockey.
Let's do that hockey, as Chance the Rapper would say on MSG. So the Sharks win 4-1 over the Canadiens, and here's how things broke down on this night on their first road game and first game overall in their 2018 portion of their schedule. First period looks like Montreal was coming out really strong, and then all of a sudden, Joe Thornton passed it to the net. That's right, Joe Thornton passed it to a net, folks. He scores his 392nd goal of his NHL career from Braun and Vlasic to make it 1-0. Goes, I guess you could say, it goes to show that even if you shoot it wide, Gent, you can always pass it to Jumbo, and good things could happen.
Can I just say that I'm a little concerned that this game was the first sign of the apocalypse, because you had both Jumbo and Vlasic scoring goals tonight. I'm kind of concerned that I should be buying some shelter equipment, like canned foods. Maybe I'll get that $1 million thing if Jumbo gets 4 goals. But yeah, you know what? You need luck in hockey, and it just happened to hit Jumbo in his chest, and it just bounced right down his stick, and it was an easy tap in for Jumbo to get it there, going to the net, which is something I was kind of concerned with this whole game. But yeah, good for the Sharks, 1-0.
Yep. Alex,
Thornton's in front of the net. Honestly, it was. He's going to score all season, but who shot it? Was it Dylan?
It was Justin Braun. He passed it back to Braun, and then Braun shot it, hit off a Jumbo, and then goes in.
He gets probably the majority of the credit, but for the setup, he did most of the work. I think that Thornton should be sitting in front of the net instead of far right wing, just passing the puck. It's a defenseman. That's a really old strategy, but for the most part, I just think that instead of having hurdle, which we've seen more and more, and yeah, it is a turtleneck. But I think Thornton has actually done pretty well this season compared to how he started earlier in the season. I think we've seen some solid improvement with him.
Yeah, you've seen some slow improvements from Jumbo, from Pavelski, from Brent Burns. obviously. I mean, the guys are finally kind of getting things turned around, and in injuries, I think it played a role in a bit. And I think it was either us or Brody who mentioned, maybe this is where Jumbo is having to shoot more, mainly because he was out with some prolific goal scorers or goal scorers that were struggling. And it's nice to see that he's getting his chances and he's actually taking them. He's not just going strictly, what was it, Florida, where he was on a breakaway and he actually looked back like a couple of years ago.
Oh God, yes, that was. Oh, I remember that because it's like Joe's on a breakaway and he looks back. I'm like, what? No, don't do that. And I mean, and he roofed it, got the goal on there, good for him. But it was like Jumbo has a good wrist shot, and when he uses it, it's usually accurate. So I don't get why he's afraid of shooting the puck when the opportunities are there. I know he's trying to get the points up, but you know what? You still get points if you score goals. So Jumbo, get on that.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting that Timo was on the starting lineup or the first line tonight with Pavelski. Couture's back, so he's back in the second line, but kind of interesting to see him on the left wing with Pavelski.
Yeah, it's nice. It's nice to see, and you need to have that. So, you need to have some scoring all over the place. And we've mentioned how much the team needs secondary scoring, but you also need primary scoring. And yes, they may or may not be considered the top line, but those guys need to get going as well.
Would you rather see Hurdle still at center with Couture back?
I personally think that he should just stay with Couture the rest of the season for as long as he's healthy, because those two together have been arguably the most dynamic duo that the Sharks have had. And even it showed that with Couture gone, that Hurdle could carry his own. So I think carrying that confidence that Hurdle can kind of center the second line and having Couture back, that's only going to add to his offense. So I think that they should just keep those two together. Hurdle, would I love to see Hurdle back on the top line with the Joes? Yes, but I don't think that will help him develop anything better. I think he needs to kind of develop more chemistry with the rest of the team, other than just being staple with Pavelski and Thornton.
My issue is just depth. It's particularly the fourth line. You would just get nothing out of that. I think that's been a big key about putting Hurdle at the second, and you see Tierney at 3, and we're at center. It seems like it's going to be a sticking point for the rest of the season if that holds out. The 3, Donskoy, Couture, and Hurdle. I like that line a lot too.
Yeah, I do too. I think you have some speed. You definitely have skill with the guys. It's something that this team needs and will need for years to come, for sure. A quick update from Buffalo. It is still 3-2 USA with 2:50 left to play in regulation. We'll keep you updated through that. Once that goes final, we'll let you know. But let's quickly go over finish up the first period, as that was the only goal scored by the Sharks was Jumbo. That made it 1-0. The shots in that period were 11-10 in favor of Montreal, and I think at one time it was like 6-1 in favor of Montreal. So the Sharks midway through the period kind of changed their fortunes on that, which was something they needed to do after the shellacking against Dallas.
Yeah. How were the line changes between Dallas and tonight? Were they basically the same, or was basically just Couture getting a little bit more healthier?
Jen, I wasn't able to see that game, so did you recall? I'm sure they had a line blender going.
I didn't watch that game because I was at a New Year's Eve birthday party and stuff, and I was, hanging out with a girlfriend. So I didn't get to watch the game, and thank God I didn't, because I probably would have just been frustrated, and I probably would have been single by the end of that game, because that's how frustrated I would have been.
I believe, if I remember correctly, Hurdle was on the top line with the Joes, and then that quickly changed like halfway through the period. So take that as you will.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
to bring up a point on the chat, Dave B said that Goodrow is probably going to be back in the fourth line, which I guess that makes sense, but we haven't really seen much from Ward at all this season. So he would honestly be a person I would see scratched.
It's tough. It's tough to say who will sit down. You have to send someone down, and I would venture to guess that would be Sorensen unless it's Joakim Ryan. Obviously, you could send Timo down, but as we get into the second period, you're going to find out he's probably not going to get sent down. But like Sleepy Mofo said, Sorensen, Goodrow, Carlson. Yeah, I could see that. I kind of like Carlson with Tierney though. I think he adds some speed and skill to that. But nonetheless, after one period of play, it was 1-0, and then we move on to the second period. And oh boy, do I know people who don't like people on this team that scored points tonight? And well. Get ready to cringe, everybody. Mikkel Bodker, his third point in 17 games, courtesy of Paul Gackel. Thank you, Paul, for giving me that stat. As he assisted on Marc-Edouard Vlasic's fourth goal of the year, his first against his Montreal Canadiens, 2-0 at 11:27 of the second period. Gentry, your thoughts?
Cue the apocalypse. I repeat, cue the apocalypse. Oh dear Lord, we are seeing the end of days. All we need now is like the signs are there. Trump's in office. Mikkel Bodker got a point against Carey Price, and Vlasic got a goal against Carey Price. The signs are there. Next thing you know, cats and dogs are going to be living together. It's just all there. But yeah, kudos to Bodker. He showed some really good speed, and just putting it on net. And luckily, Vlasic was able to bury the rebound. So we're up 2-0. Ugh.
He's another person that's scoring a bit more since Marlowe left.
Who? Bodker or
Vlasic? Vlasic. He's kind of showed he's been shooting a lot more, good or bad. I just don't think that. I think our big weakness is our forwards, and they're just not producing. And that's been the case all season. I wonder if.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I wonder if it's between Hansen and Bodker who's going to be scratched or not, because it seems like those two are kind of competing for one spot.
Yeah. And USA just buried an empty netter to make it 4-1 or 4-2 USA with 41 seconds left. You need, like I said, you need scoring all over the place, and you're getting it. What's our biggest gripe? Why is Vlasic on the power play? And well,
yeah,
he's getting chances to watch or to play offensively, and good to know on that part, because you need scoring wherever you can get it, and the more people can score, the more people you can depend on scoring, the better it is, in my opinion. But like Sleepy Mofo said, you got to do something with the Ward, Martin, Hansen situation, in my opinion. Yeah, but that's the problem, is that you have three guys that they're gonna sit, and right now they're just rolling with it, and I can't see them getting a lot of value out of any of them right now, especially with Hansen being a pending free agent. I mean, it's just I can't see it. So
you can't see him coming back, or
I can't see them getting anything in return for it.
If a team was looking to dump salary, and since the Sharks have that $5 million in cap room, that might be something you could do with Hansen in that form. But what are you going to get for Hansen?
Nothing.
Not much.
Yeah.
No, you'd
You're
probably get a little
definitely
bit more off of a desperate team that needs wingers. Hey, Edmonton, we have a winger that you might like. His name is Mikhail Bodker.
Good luck.
yeah, and tough with trading within the division. That's going to be really tough to do. Nonetheless, we've seen crazier things. I mean, after all, the Ducks traded Teemu Solani to the Sharks. I know that didn't work out too well, but nonetheless, anything is possible. Go ahead, Alex. I'm sorry.
No, I was going to ask, what was the last Sharks Kings trade? But that's been 7 years, 8 years.
I don't recall them. There've been minor trades or minor league trades for them, but I don't recall seeing. I don't recall seeing a major trade. I've seen them sign former Kings as free agents to as Sharks, i.e. Granado or Kelly Rudy in that sense, but nothing,
Yeah, the major trade, I guess, is Daryl Sutter, but that doesn't really count.
Yeah.
All right, so
nonetheless,
onto the third.
Onwards, on the power play, Andrew Shaw on a 5-on-3 off his skate and in makes it 2-1, ruining any chance for Dell to get the shutout, and so on, ruins that idea. But nothing I really think he could have done on that. It was a nice, pretty passing play from Pacioretty and Galchenyuk at 16:07. Power play goal makes it 2-1, makes things interesting, and then all of a sudden it became the Timo Meier show. Meier gets the loose puck for his 7th on the year from Kevin LeBanc and Chris Tierney on the power play to make it 3-1 with just 10 seconds left in the second period. Jet, what do you take from the second and from Timo?
What do I take from the second is that 5-on-3 should have been that goal should have been reviewed. It looked like a kick, but also Justin Braun should have had his man. Clearly didn't. It was a blown assignment, and it just gets by Dell. Timo scoring on the power play was great because it showed, when you make good passes and you get people to the net, things happen. And I guess that's going to be my drum that I'm going to be beating on is net front presence. But I like the setup. I think that was, it was textbook. It was like Tierney was channeling his inner Thornton and just made a nice crisp pass to the net. And it was a lucky bounce because it went off of Meier's stick and then Price's skate. So it was good. And I like seeing the Sharks score. And good for them. They should feel proud. And the second sucked.
Alex, your thoughts on the second period and Timo?
I think team, regardless of who Joe Thornton's line mates are, they always seem to improve more or at least get more productive. I'm not too sure how good Timo actually is, or even Dell for that matter, if he's a system goalie or not. I don't want anyone to think that Jones is losing a step or anything like that. I think Jones is still the starting goaltender. I saw some people on Twitter saying Dell should be starting over Jones. I just think that's just crazy. But for the most part, I just think that Timo, I think this is the last stretch of the year. I don't know how long his contract is out, but I really am curious how well he's going to perform or how consistent he's going to perform throughout the year.
I can tell you that Dell is a unrestricted free agent, I believe, at the end of the season. And he's going to want to get paid. So, and are we willing to pay, $2 million for a backup of his caliber? And or do you do that fantasy trade that everybody's been talking about and somehow move him to the Islanders?
I think that ship has sailed, but I would seriously bring up someone from Barracuda and trade Dell. That's what I would do, because I can't name a backup goaltender besides Kipper, that's been a starter goaltender 2 or 3 plus years afterwards.
Well, there was some guy named Toskla who got traded to Toronto, but that was an epic
that
fail.
didn't really work out.
Hey, you know what? It worked out well for me because now every time I say Epic Toskala,
everybody knows about
it's
it.
the meme. It's the meme that keeps on memeing. Is watching Toskala letting that weekend knuckle puck.
If you could get a second or third round pick for Dell, I would seriously do it. Just get younger.
Which is something the Sharks don't have going into this upcoming draft.
Yeah.
So that would be quite interesting for them to grab. But it'll be interesting to see if they do it. Would they want to risk having that, especially going into the playoffs? Because I think they do have the confidence now in Aaron Dell. And, well, I think this was, the game against Dallas was like the, I want to say 6th or 7th time, if I recall correctly, that Jones let in 4 in the month of December. If this keeps up, we're definitely going to be having a goaltender controversy in San Jose. It was the 7th time in his past 9 starts that Jones had surrendered 4 goals or more, and that was against Dallas. There. Quickly not to cut you guys off, but Brody and Chris quickly went. Well, I'm just saying before I interrupted you. Brody and Curtis are already off the air, so we welcome those of you who are watching NBC Sports California and their coverage, along with the NHL Network's coverage, as the United States have defeated the Russians 4-2 to advance to the semifinals of the World Junior Hockey Championships. This is Teal Town After Dark. We are your live and interactive Sharks post-game show, so do us a favor, hit that subscribe button down below or to the side, wherever you're watching us, and make sure you follow us on Twitter, on Facebook, Instagram, and SoundCloud. With that being said, let's hit up the third period, and the third period started really quickly as Timo Meier gets his 8th goal of the season, so he scores 2 goals essentially in a minute 23 of gameplay time. This time was assisted from Pavelski and Burns. Gentry, good for you on your fantasy squad. At 1:13, makes it 4-1. Timo Meier, 2 games in Montreal, 3 goals. Maybe, just maybe, he's finally showing his
why he went
9th overall.
I'm starting to think that he's just a Habs killer. So every time we play the Habs, just put in Timo Meier, and then we're good to go. No, I think we're starting to see a good progression with Timo this time. He's got 8 goals in the year. He's currently tied 3rd in scoring or in goal scoring, I believe, tied with Pavelski with 8 goals. So, I mean, for a team that's gotten off to a slow and inconsistent start that the Sharks have, if you can have those guys, your Timos, your Pavelskis, your Donskois, just, I mean, I'm not saying that Pavelski's a depth guy, but if you could start having your guys that you drafted start to develop into a way that could be dangerous going into the playoffs, and if they can find the chemistry, you could see a repeat. I'm not saying that it's going to happen, but could see a repeat of what happened in 2016, which is now nearly 2 years ago, which is hard to think about.
I know, right? It just seems like that was a few months ago. Alex, the third period overall, and what I mean, like you said, some people mentioned that Aaron Dell should be the starting goaltender overall, but he had a nice solid night in Montreal.
Yeah, but in the third period, there wasn't a lot of traffic. I think that was kind of the disappointing thing from Montreal's standpoint. Not a lot of shots to the net, not a lot of, 3 or 4 shot opportunities. Seems like the Sharks were kind of just slowing down Montreal to a point where, the Sharks were just passing the puck and just playing the time clock. I just think the third period was kind of a wash. Nothing really happened besides the 2 Timo goals. Nothing really did happen. And I'm glad Timo got 2 goals, but it would have been great if he got his third, and that would have been the Timo hat trick.
Oh, and somebody would have won $100,000 for that matter too.
There hasn't been a hat trick yet this season for the Sharks, right?
No, there was one. Logan got it on the road against the Islanders. That was the only one that we had
on the road. Yeah,
and that was a losing effort on that. Gent, to basically tie a bow on this game, what did you take from overall tonight, and with Mr. Delicious?
I thought Aaron Dell kind of showed the promise. I thought that Dell has been honestly our MVP since Jones has been kind of in and out and hasn't been really that consistent this year. The only thing that has been consistent with this team is most of the defense first, and Aaron Dell being just showing that he should be a starter somewhere. I honestly think that if our power play continues to improve and we can get some more looks on there, I still think we should fire Steve Spott. But I mean, yes, I know we've been getting power play goals, and consecutively or not consecutively since we got shut out. But I think, if the power play improves and if the PK continues to stay where it's at, hey, Western Conference, look out because we might steal series.
Yes, absolutely. One thing, Gentry in the chat, Matt Ronco wanted to know, where did you get your hat?
I don't know, Eric. Where did you get this for me?
Oh, that's right. I did get that for you. It was at Hat Club at Sun Valley Mall. Unfortunately, when I went there today after I worked out, none of these hat stores have any Sharks hats anymore.
Well, there's a reason for that. Since Adidas has taken over primary license and stuff like that, New Era is not making any more NHL hats. So New Era NHL hats are officially going to be discontinued. So if you see one and it happens to fit you, get it while you can because it's the end of a new era.
Yeah. Gotcha. Kind of going into the chat here. True, but Vegas has shown that they're not an anomaly, at least for the season. Yeah, that's how that's crazy. Rob Iman thinks that Lehner will go to the Islanders. Sabres are likely to fire Sale. That'd be fun. Maybe we could steal Eichel from them. Let's see.
Eric, where's that pipe you've been smoking? If you think we're gonna get Jack Eichel, where's it at? Is it right?
It's from the same pipe that we thought that we were gonna get John Tavares from.
Hey, we could. You never know.
That's right. We're living on a prayer, to quote Bon Jovi.
I think the thing with Jones and Dell, I think Dell has earned the opportunity to face playoff opponents because Dell hasn't really faced, top 500 opponents. He hasn't faced the Kings. It would be interesting to see if, when the Sharks play LA, was it 2 weeks from now or a week from now, that it's Dell and Nat, not Jones. And I know that's a long shot because Jones has that prior knowledge of knowing everyone in the roster, but I think he has earned that opportunity to play against tougher opponents, not against the Panthers, Senators, even Montreal. Like Montreal is not going anywhere this season. They're going to be trading everyone this season, if anything.
Well, yeah, they're going somewhere. They're going to go straight to the number 1 draft pick, and then they're going to get Rasmus Dahlin, and then they're going to be back to being of course next year when they sign John Tavares, and then they finally get their center thing situated.
While they trade Max Pacioretty.
The classic Montreal way.
Well, here's the thing.
Yes, of course.
You essentially replace Pacioretty with Drouin, but I think Drouin's more of a shooter. But can you imagine if you had Jonathan Drouin and, let's say, John Tavares on the same line together? Holy mackerel.
That's dangerous.
I'm not even entertaining that. It's just not going to happen.
Hey, this is the team that somehow traded PK Subban and got Weber for it.
Yeah. It would probably
anything has happened. It's called meth, not even once.
Oh, jeez.
And then this is what I'm gonna say.
Man.
And then the Sharks are and then Mark Bergevin is gonna get fired, and somehow will join the Sharks office because that's so Sharks.
Well,
Oh,
it's a big stretch now. I think the next 13 out of the next 17 are all road games, and
Yep.
this is what I've been talking about for a while. If they go on a losing streak now, I think this is where you start to look back, and this is where the Sharks miss the playoffs. This little streak right here.
This would be the February of 2015 for the Sharks if they were to fall apart. This would be the March of last year for the Sharks if they were to fall apart. With so many games this month, and mind you, with all these games, you're compressing it down to where the Sharks have a bye week, where they also have the All-Star break. It's very, very tight. This is the first of 3 games in 4 nights going on. Let's see who's mentioned it. Duran and Tavares would not be a good fit on the same line, according to Kevin Lacey. Duran's game is all speed. Tavares isn't. It would stymie each other.
Bring their fathers on the road trip. I don't think that's going to work. I don't think that's going to work.
That would be you know how full Air Shark would be? That'd be crazy. Only Shivo knows all. Gen X has made it in, and trust me, I will not send you on a 300-second ban like the other night. Info from our good friend who just started following us, Uncle Darren Stevens. Thank you. Shark Stats on Twitter. Let's see. Jumbo has surpassed his goal scoring total of all of last season with 8 over 7. Montreal native Marc-Edouard Vlasic, Sergeant. With his first career goal against the Canadiens, as well as an assist. Entering tonight, he only had 3 assists in 13 games. He also becomes only the 3rd Quebec-born Sharks player to score in Montreal. He joins Ed Courtenay back in October 21st, 1992, and Stéphane Matteau in November of 97 to score for the Sharks. So there's that. Why are we all hailing Chivo? Did we miss something on here?
I guess so. Whatever. But here's, so now I don't know if you guys have been paying attention to Brody and Curtis Brown on the pregame show and all that, and during the intermissions, that they have been trying to push for a San Francisco Winter Classic with the Sharks and the Edmonton Oilers to be held at AT&T Park, and they are making their case for it. So I wanted to see what your guys' thoughts on that was.
Alex, go ahead.
I'll let you go first, Eric, because just go first.
Okay, I will go first. Gent, we've talked about this before off air when we've hung out. I would love to have an outdoor game at AT&T Park. I think it would be amazing and picturesque, and just the feel of having 40,000 plus at the ballpark, and just having that game there. I think it would be perfect. I think it would be better than what it was at Levi's Stadium. And it's funny enough that we keep hearing this, is that yesterday when the Winter Classic was taking place, I did put up a poll on my Twitter asking which NHL event would you like the Sharks to host in the next few years, and 49% said an outdoor game at AT&T Park. The other one that I had mentioned was also an All-Star weekend, which, when AJ interviewed John Turturro recently at the beginning of the year, they had talked about hosting another All-Star game, since it's been it'll be 21 years this January since Owen Nolan called his called shot. But I'm down for either one. I personally, I would like another outdoor game at AT&T. I think it would help reach out to more fans that get more love, and especially in San Francisco, be more of a centralized location for the entire Bay Area to join in. But yeah, that's my thinking. What did you say, Jet?
I was thinking I'd be down to seeing. I want to see a draft and I want to see another All-Star game here, but I would love to see a Winter Classic held in San Francisco, and it probably would not. And realistically, it probably wouldn't happen until the Chase Center in San Francisco opens up, because they can promote that as well as San Francisco hockey. San Francisco could potentially being hockey, and potentially seeing some hockey games played at the Chase Center once it's completed.
Go ahead, Alex.
Okay. Did any of you watch the Buffalo and New York Rangers game?
Yes, I did.
In the first 2 periods, they had this annoying shadow. You couldn't see the game at all. You couldn't see the puck. And, I think the biggest issue with hockey is they don't focus on making it television friendly. And they had baseball parks have a lot of weird viewing angles. And I think there was maybe like one particular part where you got the entire glimpse of the rink. But I don't get with like the Winter Classic, put the fans on the field, like make the fans like a part of the experience. Don't push them out. And I just can't buy into why like the fans have to be so far away from the action. Oh, we have to have this walking path that's a mile away from the rink. Just make it a perfect viewing experience for both the fans and the television. I just don't get this bullshit that Angel keeps on doing every year.
In regards to what? Just the configuration of the ballpark?
Ballpark. Just if you can fit more fans onto the field, like they had some like taxi cab trying to do downtown Times Square. I get that, but put some fans on the field. Like if I could see a lot of Met fans as a Giants fan, if you want to make this about AT&T, I would love to watch a game on Giants Field. That'd be something I'm really cool with, but not when I'm 30 yards away looking at the action. It's just stupid. I just can't buy into it. And as someone who, I thought the Levi thing was cool and all, but it was definitely just a publicity stunt for Levi Stadium.
Well, and that's why he got selected over Stanford and AT&T. It was brand new, and that was the promotion of it, because it was the big brand stadium.
I just thought of this idea. If they don't want to host an All-Star game in San Jose, why not host an All-Star weekend in SF when Chase Center opens up, so you can promote that as well?
It's a good. I like that idea. I'm not sure if the league would be okay going to. And granted, it's still the Bay Area, but I'm wondering if they wouldn't like to go to a neutral site game per se.
Maybe.
I don't know. That's the only thing I could have against it. But I do like the tie-in with Chase Center a lot, Gentry. I think you can even have some of the events. If they were to have an All-Star weekend, you can have the game in San Jose, but maybe you have the events up in San Francisco as well. But that's a tough one for San Jose to be passed up upon.
It wouldn't surprise me, though, if they could configure that center into an ice rink for one night. And I wonder if they could do that. I wonder if they could actually hold a hockey team for a full year, which would definitely worry me a lot about the future of the Sharks staying in San Jose, if that's the case.
Well, Vince G in the chat mentioned something in there. Chase Center is going to be Barclays Center West, which is going to be made for basketball and basketball only. I thought they were supposed to be putting it where it was going to be somewhat hockey friendly, granted to be more basketball, oriented, but nothing like Arco Arena. If it's not exhibition, it's not being played at a basketball arena, according to Kevin. Could the Barracuda play in Chase Center? Realistically, I haven't seen the configuration of how hockey would be for Chase Center, so it remained to be seen. I would think it would be possible, but like Kevin Lacey. Kevin, just come on here really quick, because there's been some rumors going around that the Barracuda might be heading to Fresno.
I've heard those.
Allegedly.
Yeah.
In that to me is a tough one to figure out, because they spent a ton of money constructing a whole practice area for the Barracuda at Sharks Ice in San Jose. And I can't see it unless the Sharks are going to have control of the arena and everything, because that's where they get the revenue from. I'm just not sold on that. But I would think at the very least they'll be playing some preseason games in San Francisco, and they should for the promotion. So
I just don't know about these Winter Classics. Like, it just seems like they're doing too many, and it ruins the experience. It loses the, what makes it cool 10 years ago about having Buffalo and Pittsburgh one time a year face off. I think one year they had like 5 Winter Classics. I think they finally reduced that down to 2, but it just, you have to make the Winter Classic experience both good for the fan experience who are going to be there, and also for the fans who are going to watch it. It's just, why would you piss off 900 people watching the game when that's one of your highest viewing experiences of the year? It's just
I agree with that, because there were times when I was watching the Winter Classic and they had that aerial shot during some of the power plays, and I'm like, guys, it's already hard enough. Like, it's not like football where it's stationary and boring as heck to watch and you can quickly follow the ball. This is the puck. It moves around too quickly for your aerial views to kind of keep up. So my thing is just like, get a better camera angle, and hopefully you get to I'd still want to see a Winter Classic at AT&T Park because of, the new prestige of it, because it's, it is the host. Yeah. It's on the bay. Yeah. It's housed, 3 championships. It's hosted 3, World Series, that type of thing. That would be cool. That would be cute. All right.
Well, go ahead. I'm sorry.
And and considering the fact that where else in the Bay Area would you host a Winter Classic? Cow Palace?
No, well, that's indoors anyways. So. And you would be able to sell like.
I've skated at the Cow Palace. There have been plenty of times where I've looked up and saw plenty of gaping holes in the roof and said, like, there you go. Yeah,
that's true. That is true. Joining us, because the second we mentioned Barracuda, we have to get him in, Mr. Kevin Lacey. Kevin, how are you? Happy New Year, sir. How's things?
First off, it's not an overtime win, so what the hell am I doing on this show? And secondly, you guys pulled me in. I was trying to take a nap from my 11:15 hockey game tonight, and you pulled me in. It's a good banter.
Sorry. We're
good banter,
sorry.
Though. You pulled me in with the right kind of banter.
Well, that's what we try to do on here for the show tonight.
Please subscribe.
Yes, please subscribe and tell your friends and everything. But Kevin, you can mention this since you mentioned it on the chat. What is with this rumor about the Barracuda and Fresno?
The thing is, I don't know. I don't know where this rumor came from at all. I know that throughout this season, there has been a Fresno hockey, I guess, blog semi-credentialed. They're credentialed. They have media credentials that they're sitting up with like Zach Devine and Paul Gackle and such at the Barracuda game. So I don't know if they're driving this rumor or what's going on. But I heard at the weekday day game last week that it looks like the Fresno Falcons, or at least some variation, might be coming back year after next. I don't know why, because I have said before that the owners of both the Save Mart Center and Selland Arena in Fresno have repeatedly said they have no interest in ever bringing hockey to either of their arenas, yet this won't die. So I don't know what's going on there.
It's just quite interesting how this has played out, because again, we were originally thinking when Worcester was moving, we were talking they're likely headed to Fresno, if not Stockton.
I was in Sacramento. I said give it 2 years and then move them to Sacramento. Now we're on year 3 with the Barracuda. So if they were to, say, move the year after next, as this rumor is coming about, why now? Why now and not a year and a half ago or whatever. Like, why? I don't know what changed. Obviously, attendance is not great. Really isn't, but it is growing. And that's a big fault of the Sharks and the Barracuda for not promoting that franchise from the onset. But they've come around. They've been doing way better with their promotions, and people are starting to know. I mean, heck, that weekday day game, 1,200 people were there. 2 years ago, 120 people, legitimately 120 people were there. So what's going on?
Absolutely.
I hear audio issues.
I don't hear any audio issues. I don't know if it's me or
I'm hearing an echo too. I don't know when it's somebody talking. I can hear feedback. So somebody needs to keep their mics on.
I'm assuming it's Kevin because he doesn't have a microphone or a headset on.
Yes, I do. Yes, I do.
Oh, okay then.
It's probably me as usual, probably, right?
Probably. Way to go. But I didn't.
I know.
But like,
Epic fail.
my thing with the Barracuda moving is that it doesn't make sense for them to move anywhere, because isn't it like they're not paying any rent or to be at SAP? Am I correct? Like they're not really having to pay anything because, you know, obviously.
I don't know if they're not paying rent, but their cost is substantially lowered by hosting it in-house, basically.
In that's why I would have thought that where the where they play in San Jose would be a lot cheaper than like paying rent to have it at Golden One Center or wherever to have it. So you know, but
I say you move them to Oakland and rename them the Seals.
I still think they should have been the Seals from the beginning, but
I agree completely.
Corporate sponsorship ruins hockey.
Hey, all I'm saying is I keep seeing. Well, that's true. Sorry, Jen. All I'm saying is I keep seeing a lot more of that SJ and the Barracuda logo at the Sharks store. Just putting it out there, just like we've seen a boatload of stuff that has the screaming shark on graphics in stuff, including the yearbook that came out at the Sharks store. Just really interesting.
I know where you're going with that, and
New logo next year, calling it.
You're what?
New logo.
Oh, we know that. Barracuda, Barracuda Networks isn't even a sponsor anymore, so yeah.
Yeah. So Barracuda might be getting a new logo. Maybe the Sharks are going to Screaming Shark, but although Tortora again denied that before, we'll see. We will plan to interview JT along with his fellow co-president somewhere in the near future. But another thing we wanted to bring Kevin on as we go to move the CUDA to Snoopy's. As much as I love that rink, it is way too small for an AHL team, even for the size that Syracuse plays in. But Kevin, World Juniors, there's a prospect goaltender, and this kind of plays into the talk about Sharks goaltending. Tell us about how the
we were going to the John McCarthy thing. I had my tweet all queued up.
Oh, shoot.
That's okay.
We could talk about that.
We'll talk about that right now.
Yeah, we could talk about
well, no, you have it up right now, so why don't we bring it up? So back on September 21st, some guy named Kevin Lacey at Kevin Lacey 22 said, "I wonder if John McCarthy would get any consideration for USA Hockey if the San Jose Barracuda were allowed to participate." Kevin, we have one question before you answer this. Powerball is tomorrow night. Do you have the winning lotto numbers?
I don't. I did get a lotto ticket, but not for Powerball.
Nice pull. But yes, John McCarthy. I mean, you've seen a lot of Barracuda games. For those who don't know him too much, because he's been up and down with the Sharks throughout like the last 7 years, what would he bring to the table for Team USA?
Well, John McCarthy, I mean, he really is. He provides the leadership, and I don't just mean because he's the Barracuda captain. I mean, at the AHL, letters are thrown all over the place. But I mean, at his stage of his career, he's there to be the leader, to be the veteran guy. And what USA Hockey's looking at is a guy who is great on faceoffs, is great defensively, and has NHL experience. Key being NHL experience, of course, because the NHL players themselves are not allowed in the Olympics. McCarthy has been on an AHL-only deal, which allows him to participate. And he can be a mentor even at this stage. Won't have a lot of time to probably practice with the guys and whatnot, but he can be a mentor to guys like Jordan Greenway and Troy Terry, even though he's a Duck, because the Team USA still has some really nice young pieces. They have a nice blend, I think. So I'm really happy for J-Mac. And he's also a guy who always seems to turn it up right around February, I've noticed the last few years for the Worcester and Barracuda teams. So, you know, that's a good sign if you want an Olympian to heat up in February.
Absolutely. Jen, you wanted to touch up on this as well.
No, I just I think it's kind of sad, you know, kind of looking at like who could have been the lineups, you know, looking if the NHL would have gone to the Olympics, because you have to think that Austin Matthews would have been penciled in for Team USA, and it would have also been nice to kind of see him kind of perform at a world stage, because he was actually really good when it was the World Cup of hockey. You know,
for Team North America.
Yeah, I thought that was a wonderful introduction, and I thought that, you know, if you could have seen him develop into something greater had he played in the Olympics. But as we all know, Gary Bettman doesn't care about the fans, because we're probably going into a lockout pretty soon. So let me put on my little tinfoil hat, because, well, actually, it's not even a conspiracy. It's going to happen. But anywho, but I also wanted to say that it's like I'm kind of excited to watch Olympics this year, because, you know, you're not seeing the NHL. But my biggest gripe is those horrible, and I say horrible, and this is coming from somebody who has seen Geely in theaters, those horrible Olympics jerseys. Those jerseys are atrocious. Whoever designed them clearly watched a lot of, you know, X Games type of stuff and said, "Oh, wouldn't these sleeves look cool on that?" Yeah, bro. And that's how it came about. So I'm surprised that Red Bull or Monster is not sponsoring the USA Hockey or the Olympics, because they are awful.
Don't they look exactly like the Buffalo Bills jerseys?
No, those are the ones for the World Juniors. The ones that
Those are for
Gentry
the outdoor
is talking about.
junior game.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, that was for the outdoor junior game, which was nice. But the one that Gentry is talking about, they do look like they're out of the Monster Energy BMX series that you see rolls around every now and then. Yeah, those are bad. But nonetheless, Gentry, I'm kind of intrigued by the hockey tournament now. I think even more so because the NHL isn't going.
No, I you know, it's kind of going back to hockey at its purest, where it's not superstars representing your country. It's just, you know, it kind of reminds me, because I watched Miracle the other day with my girl, and it was her first time seeing it. So, like, it kind of reminds me of those days where you're not seeing the best of the best. What you're seeing is that the best that the country has to offer, that's not, you know, a professional team. So, and maybe that's what it takes to get this team to win. Just saying.
And on a positive side of the tournament being in the format that it is, I have said pretty much every Olympics for the last, 6 or 7 that we've had, that the best games have been the preliminary games. The games where Germany and Slovakia and Slovenia and whatnot are trying to get in, those have been the best games. So, yeah, USA and Canada and all the powerhouse nations don't have the superstar players, but they're going to compete that much harder, because it's all level playing field, and it's going to be great. It's going to be great competition, at least, which is the spirit of the Olympics right there. Yeah, it might not be NHL level, but it's going to be damn good to watch.
But you also got to
And
think that they're not going to be holding back because
Exactly.
the NHL kind of has to think like, well, after this, I still got to play an entire season and then possibly go to the playoffs. So these are literally, as you pointed out, Lacey, is that these are guys that literally have nothing else to do after the Olympics are done. So we're going to see more hard hitting and kind of see the sport kind of be on its own like that, and maybe it will be the highlight of the Olympics. We'll see.
And for that matter, you have, well, I mean, technically you do have a Russian team, but you have a hockey team with athletes, Olympic athletes from Russia. It's the unified team all over again. Could that play a factor into it for all intents and purposes? But yeah, I think the Olympic tournament's going to be very interesting this time around, in my mind.
But do you gain enough from if you had this is a prime opportunity to promote the National Hockey League? And I heard Brody talking about what happens if you just start hockey in the summer, and that will allow you to play in the Winter Olympics. And I think there might be maybe one every 4 years you might do that, because I didn't watch any of the Canadian Hockey League. I didn't watch any of that. That just didn't really interest me. And frankly, I don't even get the point for it. But promoting the league nationally is what made basketball, what's made many sports to what it is today. And I get for basketball, it works best in its off season. It works flawlessly, but you have to take advantage of every country staring at hockey. You just have to do it. And I'm glad these young athletes are getting the time and experience, promote the league. There was an article about how Timo Solani waited a year because he wanted to face the best competition. And I just don't. I just think you're diluting the Olympics at this point.
Well,
by
that's
not having the NHL there.
Yeah.
Sorry, Kevin. Okay, Kevin, go ahead.
I was gonna say, but on that's why the women's tournament, they need to step it up. They need to promote themselves more than they ever have before, because this is their opportunity to not be outshined by the NHL.
I agree with yeah.
And also,
go ahead.
No, and I agree, because I think the NWHL that needs some serious promotion, outside of I follow it on Twitter and stuff like that, and I'll see a little bit of advertisements here and there, but that's only because I follow them on Twitter. Right. I don't think a lot of people really know about that league, and it's a fun league to watch. If you can get a chance to catch one of those games, they're fun. And women's hockey in the Olympics was better than that goal, what was it, the USA Canada game, because it had all the drama, and you saw the female athletes in that game really caring, because they're not going to the NHL. They don't have a season to really, this is what they've been training and preparing for this whole time. And I think it should be promoted fairly. I think the NHL should kind of step in and promote that as well, and they should be in the Olympics. But I don't know. I'm not Gary Bettman, because I have a tendency to make sense.
And the tough part is that the IOC won't allow the NHL to cross promote, especially in a sense.
Yeah, Gen X mentioned that in the chat.
I get that, but it's just you have to promote your athletes, and the Olympics is the best opportunity for that.
Agreed.
And 100% agreed. Yeah.
But speaking of international events, getting back to the World Juniors, where the U.S. defeats Russia 4-2. Bellows, Kevin, I'm guessing you would know. Is he a prospect for somebody, or is he available?
Who?
Kiefer Bellows.
Kiefer Bellows was drafted by the Islanders, if I'm not mistaken, 19th overall 2 years ago. So,
gotcha. Yeah, he had 2 goals.
Yeah. That sounds right. Oh man, he had a heck of a slap shot for the, I believe, was the winning goal in the end. Kiefer Bellows is a guy who he doesn't drive me nuts. People who talk about him drive me nuts because I feel like they downplay this kid all the time, and I don't understand it. All he does is score. I think he's gonna be he's not gonna be like some superstar, amazing John Tavares, Steven Stamkos type player, but I mean, he's going to be probably a top 4 or 5 player on most NHL teams. So,
it's going to be something quite interesting that the Islanders are building, and again, that's where John Tavares comes into play for them, along with that new arena. Canada, of course, destroyed Switzerland 8-2, like the Switzerland coach said they would. But let's talk, like I said, let's talk about this Czech goaltender prospect the Sharks have, who turned up a great game.
Yeah, Josef Korenáš. I missed this game. I was working. I caught the game the other day, over the weekend. He played. He got pulled after only 2 goals when he was the best player for the Czechs, only because of a wake-up call. From what I heard today, he was the best player for the Czechs again, and single-handedly, all I've been hearing this whole tournament, guys, is Korenáš is single-handedly keeping them in the tournament, and now he's single-handedly apparently advanced them through the tournament. So he's a kid that the Sharks signed as a free agent, undrafted free agent in the offseason, and you know, kudos to the Sharks scouting staff because goaltending, I won't say goaltending is a weak point because, as you guys talked about, Martin Jones, Aaron Dell, solid. Troy Grosnick coming around after his knee surgery. They've got Antoine Bibeau, who's tearing it up in the AHL. It's not that they're not deep, but they don't have young goalie prospects. But they do with Josef Korenáš. It's been a good pickup so far.
Well, that's the one thing that the Sharks always kind of excelled at is finding these diamond in the rough goalies, you know, coming out of nowhere. You know, obviously the Nabokov being that diamond that, you know, that the Sharks kind of leaned on for 10 plus years, you know, and it's just, you know, I think with the Sharks right now is that, you know, I wish they'd have as much luck getting defense and forwards as they do with goalies. It's like, it's almost like the scouting staff only scouts goalies as opposed to defensemen and forwards, because I think there's not really a lot of prospects that are like right now that the Sharks, you know, have a lot to be like, ooh, that guy's going to be, you know, a killer in the NHL at the moment. It's just like, oh, he could be good. There's not like that, ooh, that let's say the Austin Matthews like effect where it's like, oh yeah, he's going to be in the NHL. It's just like a lot of maybes.
Yeah. With Korenáš, the thing to remember here is he's playing in the second tier Czech league. So he is, even though he's only 19 years old, he is playing in a professional league over there. That doesn't always, but that should help with his development. His save percentage is okay. It's only 911 over there, but at the same time, the Czech 2 league, probably not the greatest defensive league ever, you know? So I wouldn't look so much at stats in his case. I'd look at a tournament like this where Korenáš has been just rock solid for them. And we'll just see how far the Czech Republic goes, because that's a nation that has fallen the last 10 years. So it's nice to see them get a little more relevance again.
It'll be quite interesting later this week as the Czech Republic will take on the Canadiens in the semifinals, while the Americans will take on Sweden, who beat Slovakia 3-2. That was earlier today as well. So, Kevin, I will let you go. Thank you for jumping on. Get your nap. Where's your game at tonight?
My game is at Silver Creek Sportsplex, which last I heard was a proud sponsor of your San Jose Barracuda. I have no idea what rank I'm on, but I'll be wearing a University of Maine jersey and playing really bad defense.
And of course, he'll be the only one on the ice with the turtleneck on.
Actually, this is true. This is my I have
Yes.
my Nike brand Alex Korolyuk-esque. It's a very thin turtleneck, but it does the job. So
Awesome. Well, Kevin, thank you so much. Get some rest. If you are bored and need to check out some roller hockey, Kevin Lacey live at Silver Creek Sportsplex at 11 p.m. tonight.
Yeah, 11:15. Ugh. Thanks, guys. Have a great night.
Have a good night, Kevin. Thank you. That was Kevin Lacey. I knew he would know some stuff about the Barracuda and World Juniors, so I thought I'd throw him on here. All right, guys. Well, I know, believe it or not, we haven't even talked about the scores around the league. So let's do the NHL wrap around really quick before we head on out of here. 7:58 left in the third period. The Avalanche are leading the Jets 2-1. Nathan McKinnon and Mikko Rantanen with the goals for Colorado. Blake Wheeler has scored a power play goal for the Jets. After 2 periods, it is 1-0 LA over the Los Angeles Kings. Andrioff with the only goal in the second period. Up in Vancouver.
Wait. I think you said LA over the Kings. You meant, LA.
No, LA over the Oilers. Yeah, sorry. That's what I get for rushing through these. My bad. At least I haven't effed up a last name yet, because I know Gen X is watching now. In Vancouver, the Canucks are down 3-0 to the Anaheim Ducks. Adam Henrique, Ricard Raquel, and Ryan Getzlaf all goals for Anaheim as they try to claw their way back into a playoff spot. About halfway through the game, under 8 minutes left in the second, the Golden Knights are tied with the Predators at 0-0 at T-Mobile Arena. In Toronto tonight, it was the Toronto Bay Maple Bolts live scrimmage. Oh, I'm sorry. The teams that wear the same exact uniforms. My bad. Tampa Bay defeated the Maple Leafs 2-0. Paquette and Killorn with the goals. Vasilevsky with the shutout for Tampa Bay. In Brooklyn, it was the Bruins 5-1 over the Islanders. Heinen, Bergeron, Marchand, Schaller, and Akari with the goals for the Bruins. Eberle with his 14th on the year for the Islanders. In the Battle of Pennsylvania, I should say, the Penguins take down the Flyers 5-1. Ryan Reeves with his second goal of the year, along with Phil Kessel, Connor Sheary, Kuhnhackl, and Olesiak with the goals for the Penguins, as Jari gets another win in relief for Matt Murray. In overtime, the Capitals take down the Carolina Hurricanes 5-4. Rask with 2 goals for Carolina isn't enough, as Chason, Smith-Pelly, Orlov, and 2 goals from Alex Ovechkin get it done for the Washington Capitals. Of course, you know about 4-1, the Sharks beating the Canadiens. Also, in a shootout, the Blues take down the Devils in the Martin Brodeur Bowl. There we go. Oh, shoot. And we should have kept Lacey on because Vladimir Sobotka got his 8th goal this season for the Blues, as the Blues pick up their 52nd point on the year. Dang it. I knew I was going to F up on one name. Sorry, Gen X. In Minnesota, 5-1, the final Wild over the Panthers, as it was a bad night for me to put James Reimer in my fantasy lineup. Eric Stahl with 2 goals, Matt Cullen with 2 goals, Jonathan Huberdeau, the lone goal scorer for the Panthers. Waka waka.
And of course, today marked the return. His first game of the season was Zach Parise.
That's right.
Mr. USA himself.
That's yes. In Dallas, the Stars lose to the Blue Jackets 2-1. Oh crap! Borkstrand with 2 goals for the Blue Jackets as Sergei Bobrovsky takes down the Dallas Stars. And a quick update, the Vegas Golden Knights have scored suddenly 2 goals in a minute and 30 seconds. Riley Smith and Shea Theodore with those 2 goals to make it 2-0 Golden Knights. And with that, we now can look at the standings because we are getting closer to the halfway spot. Some teams have already hit that halfway home. In the Pacific, the Knights have a 3-point lead on the Kings. The Sharks are at 46. In the wild card, Dallas and Minnesota are at 47 45 respectively. The Ducks are at 44. With the win, they will tie in points with the Sharks. However, the Sharks would have the tiebreaker because of the fewer games played. Chicago, Calgary at 42, Colorado at 41, Edmonton and Vancouver are at 37, the Desert Dogs at 23. In the Central, Winnipeg is tied with St. Louis at 52 points, with Nashville right behind them at 51. So, folks, if the season ended today, it would be Sharks and Kings in round 1.
Oh, boy.
Oh, God.
That is a great matchup.
And the fun part is...
Oh, God. It's like a horror sequel. It's like that. The Sharks and Kings, it just keeps going, and it keeps haunting me. It's worse than The Exorcist. But still.
The West matchups, if the season were ended today, would be Vegas versus Minnesota, Dallas versus Winnipeg, St. Louis versus Nashville, LA, San Jose.
It might be better to play the wild card or be a wild card at this point.
You just never know.
Because I do expect,
just never know.
I mean, I do expect Anaheim to sneak up into the top 3. That's a team to look out for because they're going to push one person out.
The Sharks have 46, Ducks have 44. If the Vegas wins, they would go to, if the Ducks win, they will go to 46. But the Sharks have played fewer games, so that's where it would be.
Yeah.
Puck dropped after. That's got that. Thank you very much, and thank you, Kevin Lacey, with the text on that. All right, so with that, we will sit you up. There's a game on Thursday, Sharks versus Leafs. There's a guy that was born in San Ramon that's going to play. There's a guy that was a Shark for like 20 years that's going to play as well. I mean, it's not going to be a big deal, right, guys? I mean, come on.
Is it still a big deal? I think we've already had that.
I mean, I don't know about everybody else, but I'm excited to see Roman Polak against the Sharks again.
Yes.
He wears the correct number, and he got us to the Stanley Cup final a couple of years ago. So I don't know. I mean, that to me is I'm so excited. I'm excited for to see the Sharks against Roman Polak. Hopefully, but mostly, yeah. The going against the Maple Bolts or the I don't know. I think it's gonna be a lot of fun. I'm expecting Patrick Marleau to get a hat trick to that game though.
Yes, it'll be interesting. Sharks and Lightning on Thursday, as Kevin Lacey would say. Yes. Oh, that's crazy. So we'll be back with you for that. If we all tweet Steve Dangle, maybe we can get him to be on the show before he shoots his LFR. That's all I'm saying. But anywho, all right. So final thoughts, Mr. Martinet, and where the people can find you.
Solid game by the Sharks. Again, Montreal is not a great team, but they are a decent team with a lot of talent that's just having a really bad year. Overall, though, it would be interesting, though, if we see Dell starting against Toronto. And I think that's not going to happen at all. But if they are starting to play who has the hot goalie, who has the hot hand, I wonder, then you start to think there's a goaltender controversy. But at the moment, there is no such thing. Dell has played weaker opponents. And I'm looking forward to Thursday. It's Marleau. Yeah, it's Marlo. What can you really say about that? But anyways, you can find me on Twitter at almartinet. Yeah. Go Sharks.
All right, Notch Bro, your final thoughts and where the people can find you online.
Let's see. You can find me on Twitter atjalexander46. You can find me on Instagram atjalexander46, although I haven't been really using Instagram lately. You can find me on Xbox Live. I'm trying to start a 3-on-3 league, so look for me as the Uber Steven on Xbox Live. Looking to do something like that together. And then yeah, so let's get ready. Let's do that hockey. Let's go do that hockey on Thursday.
Yeah, big game no matter what. It is the start of back-to-backs for the Ontario team against the Ontario teams. So nonetheless, I am Eric Curry. You can follow me on Twitter at PuckGuy14. If you have missed anything or want to see this wonderful show again, and of course, why wouldn't you? You can do so on our YouTube page where you can subscribe down below or over to the side. You can also check us out on tealtownusa.com for all your Sharks news and info. I did do a quick little write-up on John McCarthy, Felix Chow. Hi, Felix. I don't know where you're at right now. You did an interview with a Vegas podcast, so that's coming up very soon. But you can also catch us on any of your favorite podcatchers, where it's iTunes, Google Play, SoundCloud, Stitcher, TuneIn, YouTube, you name it, we have it. If there isn't, let us know. I'm Eric Curry. You can follow me on Twitter at PuckGuy14, and we will be back with you on Thursday following the Sharks and Leafs. And until then, get some rest, have a great night. Happy New Year to all of you, and keep it real, keep it teal, keep it real teal. Go Sharks, and we will see you after the game on Thursday. Good night.